Listen, let me get to this first topic, right? Can a person be a great parent but a bad spouse? Like, what's your thought on
Yeah,
that? You
for
think so?
sure.
Explain.
Yeah. Parenting got nothing to do with you as a relationship person. So you could take care of your child, you can love your child, you can bond with your child. That necessarily doesn't change the fact that when it comes to intimacy and loyalty and cheating and X, Y, and Z, you can not be that and still take care of your kid. It has nothing to do about your relations. It's two different responsibilities, two different
Hmm.
duties.
Hmm.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Because
What's your thoughts?
I think I agree. Like someone can be a disloyal partner, like or an absent partner, and still be a good parent per se. But like maybe in their intimate relationship with their spouse or whatever, if it's baby moms, whatever.
Hmm.
They might not show up for that person, but doesn't mean that they can't show up for the child. I think that it gets into bad parenting, like if now you're doing, for example, like if you're maybe laying your hands on the woman and you're doing that in front of the child, then that steps into like bad parenting territory because you're exposing your child to like this kind of trauma and things. So yeah.
What's your thoughts on this?
Um, I think, yeah, I don't think there's no correlation because I think a love for a spouse or whatever and a love for a child is two different loves. You know what I mean? Like for the most part, your child gets like almost unconditional love. I don't believe that there's really unconditional love for a partner in these times. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any correlation, and it could go vice versa. You could be a great spouse and be a bad parent. You know what I mean? Like you could show up for your wife or whatever, but you're not there for your child. So I don't think there's any correlation when it comes to parenting and being a good spouse. You got to separate the two and focus on each task.
I agree with all of y'all. I also want to add that we don't really pay attention to the fact that a lot of us or a lot of people that's in these relationships that has children
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be with their partners. They're
Mm.
together because they got a kid. They're
Yeah.
trying to
Mm.
they trying to build a relationship for the children,
Yeah.
and they really might not have love for each other. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're sacrificing yourself in a sense to, for a bigger, greater picture. Society always tell you to, raise your family as one. So, and I don't think sometimes people communicate how much they don't want to be with the other person when they should just move on, because it might be better for the kids for you to be
Yeah.
separated, or you know what I mean, just it's different. But I think that people need to take out the time to explore and express themselves, because it's still going to affect the kids regardless if
Yeah,
you don't
but
want to be
not
there.
for nothing. I also feel like the problem why it's so bad now is because nowadays people don't date to date. People date for image. People date for income. People date for lust and basically self happiness. They don't really take time to actually build the connection, learn the person. People be knowing more about what color a girl panties is before they know her favorite color, before they know her name. Vice versa with girls, because they be dating off based on the fact of getting tricked on and wanting to have a perfect image of a man. They don't really take time to actually get to know each other.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I know this topic came about because, well, at least for me, I know Keem and I had the same topic, but there was a like an artist, I don't know, Vito or Vado, or maybe Vado, I don't know, Vito. Anyway, they was on, I think, Angie Martinez show,
Hmm.
and he said something like he waited to after his girlfriend had his child to see if he would marry her or something like that, because he wanted to
Yeah.
see how she would be
Mm,
as a mother before he decided to marry her, which I thought was backwards. Like, you know
that's
what I
so
mean? But
that's
I mean,
wrong.
he had his reasons, I guess,
Hmm.
and I guess he
Because
I
seen
feel
why
that
like
would
she.
you
that's
wait?
wrong because guys don't understand. I would never be somebody baby mother just to be a baby mother because guys really don't understand. When you have a kid, everything change about you. Your whole body's different.
Mm,
Your body will never go back to how it once was.
mm-hmm,
You're in so much pain. People could die from it. People can gain weight, lose their old shape. People
Yeah,
can
fall into
develop,
depression.
yeah, fall into. That's
Yeah.
not just something that you just give to somebody or
yeah.
you just do.
I
So
gotta be
having
in
it,
love.
making somebody have a child to determine an answer is crazy.
Yeah,
I feel
that's true.
like
That makes
you,
sense.
real adults, We know when we want to take somebody serious. We know when we like. We may not know like how deep it may be or if this person is meant for forever. But when you like somebody, you know.
Yeah, I think. I think both of them was. I think that's both on them on both parts because as a woman, why didn't you? You should have been like, yo, nah, fuck that. I require some type of security. Like, I want to be married first before I have
Yeah, if
your
she agreed
child,
to
She had
that,
to
and
that's
then
give
him.
birth.
He should,
crazy.
like, you know what I mean. I just feel like either both sides should have been,
Yeah.
I
You
think
assuming
smart
he
about
told
it.
her that though?
Like,
Did
this is
he
a
tell her
test.
that? Because
I
if
don't know if
she
he
told
told
her
her.
that
Become my
and
wife.
she went with that, that's crazy.
She had to have known
But
that
I don't know
prior.
why you would
Probably,
want to
like,
have a child though with someone that you're not sure
Yeah.
that if they can possibly be your wife
That
or not.
happens every day.
that, yeah, that
Like,
happens.
It's happening right about
Yeah.
now.
If you wouldn't
No,
consider
for sure.
marrying somebody, you shouldn't consider having a baby with somebody.
Listen, that sounds great on paper. I
I mean,
promise
we
you, but
totally agree with you. We're just
yeah.
speaking on what's really going on
because
out
that's
here.
how like broken homes, all that, like, okay, then the child, it depends because like there are broken homes that things work because people have figured out like a great co-parenting situation.
Right.
But if like you, let's say you and your baby father, like every single time y'all drop off, y'all arguing and stuff like that, like the child is soaking all of that in, and they're eventually going to be a young adult, an adult
Trauma.
dating in the world, and those are people that don't know how to like um deal with intimacy and vulnerability in relationships, and it just literally creates a toxic pattern in relationships.
I don't know if you guys been seeing the situation where they ask like a woman to, set up their family in a line, and women tend to always put their kids first. Or it's always like a story about how women will even say my kids come first,
Mhm.
even though they're with their husband. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If a woman is voicing that she puts her kids first over her husband, is still an issue in a sense. We're not competing against each other. I understand that part, but that man, your husband, should be there because your kids got both of you.
I
That man has.
disagree.
Well,
No.
I mean,
I think that comes to when you talk about religion and the covenant of God, like that obviously is God, the man, then the wife, and then the children. Like, you know what I mean. So if you're looking at it from a biblical standpoint, then obviously it is the husband that is first. And I think when people hear that, it sounds like they kind of think of the worst possible scenario. So it's like people drowning, or you going to save your husband, or you going to save the kids, and then that's
Yeah.
where people be like, no, I'd rather save
yeah,
my kids. Or, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
they
So
need
it's
it. That's a
to them,
different
they
scenario.
think of
Yeah.
the worst possible scenario to justify why they putting their kids first. But in a biblical sense, the husband is the first.
Why do you
Under
disagree
God.
though?
I disagree because I feel like once you have a child, it's on priorities. So, of course, if it was dealing with friends or family and X, Y, and Z, yes, you would say a significant other will come first. Even when it comes to parents, because
No, your
people will
mother
be
comes
like,
first in that
no, when I
department too,
say
though.
that, I mean like, you got to think about it like this. When you get older, your mom is not living in the same household as her mom and dad, and they're not living in the same household as their grandparents.
Right.
When you have your child, that's when your family tree starts. Everybody knows, obviously, you're gonna be there for your mom or your parent, XYZ, when it really comes
Mhm.
down to it.
Mhm.
But in a home, it's your home. So at first, it's the parents. You worry about what y'all got going on in your own household. Of course, you check on your mom, you check on your dad. Of course, it's y'all. That instance, I would say the male and the female and the male comes first. However, priorities, everything stops for the child.
Right.
Half of y'all life is given up for the child. The child always comes first.
The child has both of you.
They have exactly. The child has both, but both parents is catering to the better good of the child. Y'all
Yes.
brought the child
Okay,
into
but
the world,
what
so the
I'm
child comes
So you're
first.
saying like
what I'm
as a
understanding,
unit,
the child
the
has
child comes
both of
first.
you as a
Yeah.
resource. Exactly.
But individually as a woman,
I just
the man should come
heard
first.
you say that your parents until you move in, and then your kids. It's not one time was that man mentioned. And when men are raised from being children, we are told how we have to take care of a woman and our children.
But I just
But
said
we
that
don't
the
hear about how
man.
our woman. You ain't
But I
say
just said, yes,
anything
I
about taking
did.
care
I
of
said
us.
when you in your own household compared to your parents, your man will come first because it's the
You ain't
household
say
that
that.
you're in. Yes, I
But
did.
I feel like
Did I not
it
say
depends
that?
She did
also
say that,
in
yeah.
the culture and like the household.
Yeah,
Like
that part.
I come from like my family's Dominican, and like if people, and I'm just seeing like Hispanic households and like how people grow up, like a man gets served 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Like if in that aspect, like I could see that, but I think like earlier you mentioned like for kids, there's like an unconditional love,
Mm.
and you said right now
Yeah.
there's no unconditional love in these times.
For
So-
men,
For men.
yeah.
Right. So, oh, he didn't say for men though.
That's
When he said it, he did not say for men.
I didn't.
So you said in these times, so I'm
Mhm.
thinking like just
I meant in-
mutually, like
I meant
people
in
are not
general,
able to
yeah.
have
Uh-huh.
Unconditional love for one another.
Yeah.
I think when you're a woman and you have a child and you have that experience, because the experience of birthing a child is different because the woman carries the child. And I can understand why, like, when women are lining up, they're like saying, my kids come first, because it's a different connection. Like, this is like your blood,
Yeah.
your, like, they were inside of you.
Right.
So I can understand that, and I would probably do the same thing.
So why can't women understand when men have children that he got to put his kids first? Why do those women always make them that man?
Like women that date men.
Are
with
you
kids.
Yeah.
talking
I
about
think-
like baby moms and like situations?
No, I'm saying like
that?
if I have kids
And
and
you
then
date.
I'm starting to date you,
Yeah.
you, not saying you personally, but most women have issues with men putting their children first.
And that's their problem. I feel
Mhm.
like respectfully, if you're not mature enough
Mm-hmm.
to deal with another person while they have a child, you should not
You
date
shouldn't
men
do
with
it.
kids, because at the end of the day, I can say that I'm not the parent. I don't want to be a parent. So why would I set myself up and date somebody that has a child? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's
People
true,
do,
but
and I
that's
feel
not
like
the reality.
not for nothing. I feel like when guys have kids, it's not really about feel me, the child is about picking your perfect spouse or making sure that the person you have a child with is mentally there. Because when people have kids, they either keep the kid as a mental or coping mechanism or whatever the hell, or the baby moms start going at it, and it's less about the child and more about them. If you get what I'm saying, their
Yeah.
place, their role, and then stuff with the child start getting mixed up and stuff because the women is competing with each other. So it's less about the kid and more about them.
But one could argue that if your spouse is not happy, it's not good for the household. You know what I mean? Because I mentioned earlier that what they see, they soak up.
Yeah.
So once they see that the husband or the wife not getting treated well, that might affect them negatively in the household.
Yeah, I think, sometimes when we have these conversations, right, it always sounds like we neglect the man's happiness in exchange for our children, right? So, for example, we just said, a woman will put her children first, and while in a marriage, right? So now you're kind of neglecting your husband's needs in that moment because you're sacrificing it for your child, and in that moment, he has to worry about your needs as the wife. You know what I mean? And he feels neglected because you're treating him differently, or you're sharing that, or you're giving that attention or whatever, the nurturing, that energy to the kids, which is understandable. But at the same time, you are neglecting his needs at the same time. Like, you know what I'm
But
saying?
but that's the point of having a baby. When you have a baby, y'all both give up and y'all both sacrifice. When a
Yeah,
girl
but
has a kid,
the man is not allowed
but when
to
a girl has a
prioritize.
kid, when a
She
girl has
already
a kid,
sacrificed
that
for
whole
9
night that
months.
she's in that hospital, she don't get no sleep. She got to stay up. Doctors poking them. She got to stay up doing
So does that
skin to
man.
skin. Not necessarily, not all the
Not
time.
really,
That's
'cause
not
all
true,
men are
because
present
not all
in that
men
situation.
is present in the hospital. Not all men
Not
stay
all
the
men know-
full hours
Not
that
all men
she
know
stays
that's their
in
kid.
the
Not all
hospital.
men like
That's
but
like a
wait,
very
but that's the
specific
side.
kind of
That's but
scenario.
that's
I'm
not.
Not
saying,
all men are
wait.
walking around with a kid that they don't know of.
But regardless of the fact, when y'all have a kid, y'all sacrifice something. The mom sacrificed her first few months of her having that kid. She's not able to get off. She's not able to live the life that she wants. She gets postpartum and everything else. It's not something that she wants to do, but it's, as a parent, that's your responsibility.
No,
You're not
the
thinking about
sacrifice
eyes.
part is understandable, but men don't have that luxury to not have their woman be unsatisfied in a relationship, because now when she's not feeling good, now why wasn't the husband there to cater to her needs, or whatever the case is? While we allow women to
Y'all
have
got her
these,
pregnant.
yeah, but we allow women to have these excuses not to cater to the man's needs, but when it's a man, we got to cater to the woman's
Pregnancy
needs,
is
like,
different.
and
I
the
think
children.
this is
Like,
why
you know
it's
what I
so
mean?
important to have
Right,
children with
that's
people you
why
want to
I
have
feel
children with,
like-
because none of these things would actually be questions. If you have a child with someone that you can see a future with, that you actually love, that you want to create a child with, then these things wouldn't seem like
I agree.
hassles, or like you're
It
going out
shouldn't
of
be
your
a
way.
hassle.
You
Just
don't
don't have
want her to
kids.
be uncomfortable. Like, oh shit, she just finished carrying this baby for 9 months. Her feet swole. Like, let me rub
Her
them for
body's
you.
still healing. Your
wouldn't
body's not
be
even
like
healed
something
from
like,
mad
why
long.
are you not taking care of
Yeah,
me?
but this
I've
is
been
why
tired.
it makes more
Da, da, da,
sense
da, da.
for the woman to pour the love into the husband, so the husband
No,
can
it
pour.
don't.
It's
But
Because
about
listen,
in
hold on, hold on, hold on,
pregnancy,
hold on.
the woman is
Hold
going
on,
through
hold
it
on, hold on,
more
hold
than
on.
the
Keep
guy
talking
is
about
Hold on,
going
hold on,
through
hold
it.
on,
You
hold on.
can't put that. You can't say that when you talk about pregnancy. You cannot say that
I'm
because
not talking about
I'm not talking
pregnancy.
pregnancy.
Like
In general.
you got to let me finish before you get reactive and start talking. This is why I say the woman should pour into the husband, because then the husband will pour into the woman, and then both of them will pour into the kids. But when you just pour right into the kids and neglecting the husband, then his needs are not being met. He's unhappy, and then that leads to the wife being unhappy now because he's not unhappy. Now that spills into the kids. Like, that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
No,
That
it's a
equation
mess.
makes more sense than you just pouring your love and everything into the kids and neglecting your husband, or the husband just pouring his love into the kids and not being able to pour into his wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all pour into each other, and then both of y'all pour into the kids make more sense.
And the kids actually pick up on stuff like that. So the kids will start understanding that if mommy don't respect daddy, then I don't gotta respect daddy. If daddy don't respect mommy, I don't got. So y'all gotta show that love inside and outside of whatever's going on
I
as
actually
well.
seen in that worst case scenario you was talking about earlier.
Mm.
A guy said that he would save his wife because he could make another kid.
I seen that too. Yeah.
You're not gonna make another her. You know what I mean? So
What?
like,
I seen that too. Like, and believe it or not, there was a
makes
lot of
sense.
people like agreeing with his statement in that one. And it sounds harsh to hear it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your first initial was what? Like, you know, it just sounds like, damn, like, you just gonna watch them drown or whatever the case is. But I mean, there's points to be made on both sides if you look at it from a Christian standpoint or a biblical standpoint.